A really common question I get asked is, should we build an internal agency or hire an outside marketing partner? And this obviously comes down to efficacy, and a big one is cost. So when agencies are actually coming in and supporting an organization, they're just focused on the marketing piece. For a lot of organizations, they don't have a background specifically in marketing. They have a background in providing healthcare services, or they're a car dealership, or they're selling online products. Right? It's very, very different from a marketing skill set. And so the first thing you want to look at is, do you have the knowledge of what good looks like? Which means, are you able to even identify what an SEO specialist is supposed to be doing and what a good one does versus a bad one? What's a good PPC campaign versus a bad one? How do you set up a Google Ads account? When you think about creative, and whether that's copywriting or illustrations or photography or video, what does good look like in terms of what's effective for a marketing campaign? If you don't have internal expertise on that, the likelihood of being able to identify the right hire is a challenging one. Additionally, especially when this conversation often comes up, you're talking about building a department, and there's a big difference between being able to be a chief marketing officer that can run a large team and someone who can build a department from scratch. Very, very different skill sets. I'm just talking personally, having built a 50-person marketing company across 7 different departments, it's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly challenging. And the systems, the processes, the martech, the training that you need, the identification of what good looks like, the KPIs, the metrics, these are all things that are really, really challenging to build out that your average CMO probably doesn't have experience doing. So that's something that's really important to be thinking about when you want to make a potential move in that direction. Another challenge is cost. So let's say that we're a smaller organization. And so let's say we're maybe doing 10 million a year in revenue. How much are we going to spend on an agency versus trying to build out a team internally? So if we look at, let's just say we're taking and spending, let's make an easy number, $50,000 a year for a particular marketing role. Well, minimum for a $10 million a year organization is I need about 8 people on the team to even try and be successful. So I need an SEO specialist, I need a web developer, I need a copywriter, I need an editor, I need a graphic designer, I need someone that understands the paid campaigns, PPC versus other display campaigns. Maybe I need a media buyer, I need a data analyst, I need a strategic director to put all these people together. There is a lot of expense that goes into the labor standpoint. So if I had those 8 to 10 people on my team at just $50,000 a year, which is incredibly unrealistic. A really good SEO specialist is going to cost you north of $80,000 a year easy. Same with a good web developer. And so we're talking about spending $400,000 to $500,000 just in really, really cheap labor cost estimate. The reality is that you're spending north of $500,000 a year easy. And that's before you get into the martech. Like for us, we spend $20,000 a month on our martech software across all of those different departments. We have a training that we spent $250,000 and it took us 6 months to build out our onboarding training. And that's just the onboarding training for each of our departments with the specific roles. And then you're not getting specialized expertise, right? We don't have an on-page SEO specialist, an off-page, and a technical. You're just trying to hire kind of a jack of all trades SEO specialist with that original labor cost. So, on our end, we've got specialized individuals that just focus on PPC, that just focus on display campaigns, that just focus on traditional media, that just focus on technical SEO, that just focus on off-page SEO, that just focus on on-page SEO. So when you part with an agency, you're getting this entire team for often usually significantly cheaper than you would be able to build internally when you look at all the labor costs, the martech, the training, assuming that you even know how to manage that team. Something else that's really important when you think of it from a cost perspective is, again, just knowing the specialization of having a team that's able to work together rather than trying to piecemeal people from Indeed and not having a training process in place and not having solidified KPIs in place. The costs that come from trying to build internally is insanely expensive. And again, what are you doing with all these people? Do you really need a full-time web developer? I mean, for most of our clients doing 10 million a year in revenue, we're maybe doing 3 to 5 hours of web development work a month. So are you going to pay someone 40 hours a week for 5 hours a month worth of work? Probably not. Same thing with a content writer. What are they going to do? Just write content all day, every day? Graphic designer. Are they going to do graphics all day, every day? For us, it makes complete sense because we're doing this across hundreds of clients. But for a standard organization that's trying to build an internal marketing team, they don't have the work for someone to be spending 40 hours a week working on these things. So it ends up being really inefficient from a cost standpoint. If you can go and hire a marketing partner for $250,000 a year versus building a team internally for $500,000 a year, it makes a lot more sense to outsource that than it does to try and build it internally. So these are just the things that you want to think about as you're deciding if you want to go internal versus external.